Shelley, can you do a roll call?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Mayor. District 1, Councilman Rios.
Present.
District 2, Councilman Pastor.
Present.
District 3, Councilman Leatham.
Present.
District 4, Vice Mayor Stapleton.
Here.
District 5, Councilman Gonzalez.
Here.
District 6, Councilman Shipley.
Here.
Mayor Gameros is excused. We have a quorum, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Fernando, can you do the invocation?
Be happy to.
Thank you.
Dear Lord, thank you that we could be here today. Please help to honor our service so that we make the best decisions to help our community be the best it can be. And help us to act fairly and honestly in all the things that we do. please bless and protect all those who dedicate their lives and service to protecting and serving others. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Justin, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation with liberty and justice for all. Now we'll go into our summary of the event, starting with Mariano.
Yeah, Mr. Vice Mayor, I'd like to give a shout out to all of our volunteers, agencies, boards and commissions, and our city staff for pulling off such a wonderful holiday season, as well as First Friday. They did a bang up job during the whole time, even having some vacation time. And so I really appreciate what a wonderful time of year it was, and look for next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda?
I really don't have any report. I'm sure we can talk about the ribbon cutting later, so. Thank you.
Ready?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to wish everybody a belated Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I hope that the 2023 season brings prosperity to you and your personal lives and the city and its our way of conducting business. Also, I did attend it, and I'll speak briefly on it, but we did have our groundbreaking ceremony for the Canal Creek Bridge, which is formerly known or best known as Connie's Bridge. So that's a huge it's a huge load that took to even get where we are today. It's a long time coming. We're talking years, but we'll go more about it today. I want to congratulate all those working behind the scenes and out in front to make this project move forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Brandon. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I just want to congratulate all our staff and all the work they've done over the last few months, actually for the last year. It's many times we sit up here at the table and constituents call us and request special little checkups. Could you check this out for me, or could you check that? And we come and staff takes care of those problems. And what I really enjoyed this last month, even though I wasn't here as often as I thought it was going to be, when I was here, I didn't see any of our staff out doing emergency jobs or rushing around. It was nice to drive by City Hall and see that there were no cars here because our staff was off. It was nice to see none of the public works people out doing emergency repairs or everything. It just made me feel good to know that they had time off to enjoy their time, just like we were enjoying our time during the Christmas holidays. So I congratulate our staff for a good year. I think we've done excellent, and it's all based. I've always believed for council to look good, we need people in the audience who are staff to make us look good because you do the work. So thank you, and I hope our next school year is fruitful as this past year has been. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Jesse? Thank you. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody back. I hope everybody had a great Christmas and New Year. Amazing that it's over already in the past. And here we are again. So I hope everybody had a great time during the time off like Mike said. So thank you. And then I'd like to recognize Mr. Larry Alderman, who's in the crowd. Thank you for attending, Larry. You have a seat right here. Thank you for attending. You've been missed. Always a pleasure to see you. So thank you. Thank you. And then I was fortunate enough to attend First Friday. I just want to thank everybody that did attend that. The ice skating rink, I didn't get up to skate. It looked like it was well attended, so that's really cool. So thank everybody that was involved in that. And I know there was quite a bit of people out there, it was chilling out. So, thanks for attending. And then, I'd just like to give a shout out to PD. I had a personal thing that I had to take care of, the constituent, and they were right there on time and ready to solve the problem. They did solve the problem. So just give everybody a shout out if you don't mind. I appreciate it. Thank you. And then, lastly, I'd like to, congratulate Mr. Barnes. He'll be retiring as of tonight, right there? Or
Yeah, tomorrow's my last day.
tomorrow's your last day. So, you'll be greatly missed, I'm sure, by everybody around here. So, shout out to you. Thank you for your service and thank you for everything that you've done. That's all I have. Paul?
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, on behalf of all staff and myself, we are so appreciative of the time off between Christmas and New Year's. It gives us a chance to, rejuvenate a little bit, spend time with our families, and get roaring and ready to go. And when we come back, it really is a little bit of a breather when everybody, and not everybody can be off shift. People who work shift, fire, police, sometimes public works, we wish we could do that same benefit, but it's very nice and everybody's able to take that time off and know that in their departments everybody's off, and so you can really relax. So on behalf of all staff, from our bottom of our house, thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Next is our first community call to the public. Any citizen desiring to speak on a matter that is not scheduled on this agenda may do so at this time. This is a time for the public to comment to members of the city, not to members of staff. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person and shall be addressed explicitly to the city council and addressed to the council as a whole, public body, and not to any individual member. So if you have a request that you'd like to speak, fill out a speaker card that are in the back. And I do have one speaker card, Mr. Vernon Perry.
I'm here on behalf of the Lowell High School Alumni Association, and the association or alliance that was formed to put in a float and started out on the Fiesta Bowl parade. And we said, well, since it's partly here in Lowell, let's do the light parade. And I'd like to acknowledge the city for allowing the parade to be here. There was times we thought, well, something happened. I was always concerned about that end of town and the mess it would have been, but we were at the end, it was fine. It allowed all those people at that end of town to be able to see it. Just a little thing on the float. Alumni Association had an idea, it matches with Legends Made Here. We thought we'd put something simple in down there, and I contacted Regina Ortega that came out of the class in the 80s, and Little Forest. And they ran with the idea and did Rose Mofford. And I think it did quite a bit of publicity for Globe, especially down in the valley. They had a lot of comments on it, and a lot of comments here. And it was amazing how many Globe people were tied to it, out of the valley or here even. The person that designed it was one of Little Forest's friends. And when I got to talking to him, his grandparents lived in Globe for a number of years. He was part of the Burke family, as some of them are still here. So those ties go back, and it made quite a bit. Little Hands did a lot of things. I was real impressed with 2 of the city council people. Al's not here, but he showed up a number of times and helped with the basic construction. And we appreciate it.
And then Fernando came a number of times, and we shared a common interest thing. The float was built 3 times. It was gonna rain, we got it out of the below the community center, took it over to Miami High School, the wood shop. They measured it with a micrometer. They pulled it out that night, it didn't come out. They had to saw it, they had to crush it down. They took the sides off, pulled it up. Fernando was there and I was there in the morning, we looked at it. And I said, Fernando, I think I'm gonna have to move. This does not look like it's gonna make the parade tonight. And the 2 girls said, give us 5-6 hours, we'll have it back together. Fernando showed up, we had the VFW in the back. We put parts back together, painted the pieces back on. The idea was that Rose came from here, her accomplishments, and it came down the highway and she ended up in Phoenix. But tons of people, Domlins had that old 3C truck that was in it. They had it down there, the people that danced in it, performed, Andy was in it. I think it made quite a statement workload. And the little pieces that even the city provided, you mentioned the workers that were out that night. There's a lot of work putting up barricades and making sure APS gets off the lights and everything. So from my part of it, the Alumni Association, the alliance that was formed to do that, I thank the city for the part of it. And you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Vernon. Next, we go to departmental highlights.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the council, I think that there's so much going on. PD had a rough 2 weeks and pulled through that. It's been working through everything that they have going on. I don't think as rough, but they're always vigilant for us. The Public Works, I know we had some repairs that need to get done right before Christmas that we're taking care of. And then here at City Hall, we've been working real hard to gear up. We have new employees, but not new office space. And so I think those employees who are kind of winging it, and when we walk in for a meeting, they fly out and find another place to park. And then the library, Active Adult Center, and PESH, always doing well during the holidays and being those places where people can go and see smiley faces and do their thing. So it's a little bit abbreviated update, but all the departments.
The next item is special presentations and ceremonial matters. Presentations, proclamations, awards, guest introductions, and announcements. Item A is recognition of the retirement of Mr. Jerry Barnes. Oh.
Jared?
Looks like the ones from the
It's
post.
been about 6 years.
We got a lot of work to do.
Jerry has a knack for, having Jerry behind you when you're speaking is not always good.
Yeah.
It's a beware. So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, members of the public, tonight we are recognizing the retirement of Jerry Barnes, our city engineer. Jerry started with the city of Globe in June of 2014, almost 9 years ago, starting as public works director and coming from us from down the street from Miami. Many other assignments before that. We won't go back too far. I began working with Jerry in March of 2016 when I became city manager and had interactions with him at CAC meetings and some conversations about how great it would be to work in Globe, and he was right. So that was good. There are many things I could say about Jerry. I can talk about his extensive knowledge of municipal infrastructure, his professionalism, or what a genuinely compassionate person he is, and he is. Or I can speak to some of the more interesting traits. His sense of competition, we all know that one well. His no holds barred sense of humor, his great looks and ability to dance like no one else. But the one that until you really know Jerry, you don't realize this, his ability to almost make you mad, but not quite, because he gives you that big smile and flashes those eyes just in the nick of time. Amazing traits. But I think what I'd most like to do, I think what the city and members out there of the public would appreciate is Jerry's top 10 list of accomplishments in the city. So let's see if we can. These things add up. Number 10, going into first order, maximizing our usage of WIPA funding for the city infrastructure projects. WIPA says we are made for, we are their favorite project, and Jerry made sure that we make them our favorite project. We are what they do, and Jerry, especially when you talk about the forgivables, he's good on forgivables. About 14 million there. Providing reliable water delivery to residents with our US 60 water line project. That was completed right as I was getting here. But what I understand of the lottery of waking up when they got a shower, really important project. So developing a pavement restoration fund that ensures new asphalt is brought back to new after utility repairs. I think Southwest Gas is finally forgiven us. They've been doing well, about $500,000 there. Actions taken by Jerry at the Christmas parties, resulting in us not having Christmas parties anymore.
You guys know. You were out there dancing too.
And we will not have Christmas parties anymore. That's fine. The Oak Hill paving project, in which we replaced asphalt on Hill Street, Oak Street, Broad Street, along with the sidewalk fixes, the ADA ramps. And I think after that project, people looked at downtown and go, wow, this place looks good. It was very important. You see the number 5, the ham and egging it of rehab of the sewer plant, gave us another 40 years of usage and saved us about $1 million. Jerry is very good at working projects and piecing them out. Did a great job with that and always saving us money. Are you keeping total here on that so far?
No.
Okay.
Do I get a percentage?
No. Totally violating the staff council communication policy when seeking funding for his department projects.
$8 million?
No, not even. Yeah, Jerry's not shy to advocate for what he thinks he needs to get done, and it pays off. Getting $2.81 million for the funding for the Cottonwood Bridge, which is still to come. Number 2, today's groundbreaking for the $5.4 million Cottonwood Bridge and Hill Street project. Started at 2.81, round number, but prices went up, gets more money, and so pulled that one together as we all saw it. And number 1, encouraging everyone around us to do our best and go for the gusto, including encourage Al Gamero to run for mayor after retiring as fire chief. So we have.
All my fault.
Yes, I would say so. I know that Mayor Gamero has acknowledged that today. Jerry, you've inspired and challenged all of us. On behalf of the city of Globe, I'd like to thank you for all you have done, making Globe a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. So it's been a road, and I don't think it's been that long of a road. I've been here, like Paul said, less than 9 years. We've made a lot of changes since I've been here. The one thing that I can tell you working at the City of Globe is I found a family here. You know, it's what's great about working here is the camaraderie and family. I have old friends out in the audience. Larry Alden and I have been here since I came on. And Kenny over there,
and Jody. I think Jody actually voted against me to be hired. As did a couple others out here, but I made it anyway. So I have a lot of new friends sitting back here at the back table. Lisa and Eric and Linda and Michelle and Connie and, to keep naming, Danny's over there. And so one of my besties back there, I give an acknowledgement to her the last time. What was her name again? Jessica Cruz. She is the Jerry Whisperer, as she's been noted. She knows how to take what I say or write and polish it and make me actually sound intelligent. So she did that all day today, in fact. But what I really like about working for the city, and I've been in public service since 1972 when I went in the Navy. So I've been in public service ever since. There's only been a year or two that I was outside. But what I really like about working here is not only the people we work with, but the people we work for. I don't think I've ever met anybody in the city that isn't appreciative of what we do for them. I think that the citizens here and the business owners here are out there and they're behind staff, they brag on staff. Sure, you get a few every once in a while, but I think most of those people are people who we haven't communicated well with. So, I say in the most part that the reason I enjoy working here so much is these people, but also the people out there that we do the work for. I'm figuring on staying on for a few months to help the next guy in to explain to him all Paul's quirks. And, I retiring on a Wednesday because, I made a deal with Paul when he first come on that the only time he could fire me was on Monday so I could have the rest of the week off. And so I wasn't sure I had another Monday in me, so I sat down this Wednesday. But we've had a great time, great run, and I don't think it's ended yet. So we got a lot of good people that are here to take over. I look out in the audience and I think one of the people I can say has come a long ways is Vince Mariscal. He sits out there. He started out as an inspector, and now he's one of your department heads. He's runs the water wastewater infrastructure. So I think that those are the type of people that you can lean on from this point forward. So, and you know what? I've been around a lot of councils. This is probably the best council I've ever been around. And I can say that because I'm going out. I don't have to kiss anybody. So I'm just saying, and there might be more than Al that I talked into running up there. So, I absolutely am going to miss the people here and to miss the work here and hope that. So, thank you.
Anyway. Vice Mayor? How are we working?
Oh,
What's that? Well, no, we're gonna give the watch and then do and then do it while we're on camera.
Oh, I thought it was for the cupcakes.
No, so have you come down and give the watch and take the pictures and then we'll gavel out and eat the cupcakes.
well, this is an honor. Wow. Well, thank you for everything.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Make sure it really is a watch.
So, the watch fund went towards County's Bridge.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
No,
that's pretty.
There you
Nice, thank you. Appreciate it. Gavel us out so we can eat those.
go. You can You can hit it from that side. There we go. 10-minute break.
10-minute recess. Enjoy Jerry's cupcakes.
So, that's good, thanks so much for you. You good? Got me, you know, we're doing that.
Here we go.
Meeting back to order.
Vice Mayor, we didn't get a chance to make comments about Jerry.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one thing that I've learned in the years that I've been in public service is that it's really hard to get anything done if you just take a no right away. It's really hard to get anything done if you don't know the right people, if you don't understand how things work, and you're not willing to not ever give up. And one thing I would say about Jerry is he's all of those things. He uses his relationships, he uses his knowledge. He would never accept no for an answer. If we couldn't do it this way, we'll do it this way. We have to go under, we have to go around. And I think that's just an amazing quality of a leader. And I think that we're very proud of you and glad that you were here on our team. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Good. Anybody else? Ready?
Yeah, so Jerry, I mean, you and I go back as far as you and I can recall in my days when you were in my professional world, having to work with you and work, not always with you, but always having to work alongside you in projects, and you were with the state department, highway department. And then when we went to Miami, we got to know each other better, and as years went on, had a relationship, very professional. And, I can say that Jerry has, in my professional career, Jerry has been a mentor to me, and I don't know if he knows that. But just talking through projects and talking through the challenges that we have in the business world and how we can best manage it and work through those things. I just want to say thank you so much for all your kind words and your leadership with me, and Jerry actually had conversations with me about running for council. So he just has a knack for finding people and leading them and pointing them in directions that he feels that they can do best. So I appreciate all of your comments and the conversations we had, and the good times that we've had just sitting down, relaxing on a stool and not having to talk about work, just talk openly about life. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Larry,
Mr. Vice Mayor, same kudos I want to give to Jerry. One day you stood here at the podium a couple of months back and detailed the hoops we were gonna have to jump through to get to Connie's Bridge. And of course, I was a latecomer. I didn't know we were gonna do some more jumping through the hoops, and I was very exasperated that night, as you were me. Your fault. You were trying to educate us, and you were dogged. You weren't gonna let that one go by the wayside. And here we are today doing the dedications. I thank you for your stick-to-itiveness. And the other thing I want to congratulate you, I toured the water tanks as they're going through this refurbishment. And I'm used to looking at engineering specs. And as I toured those tanks, I realized you had attracted a really good company to do this. Very good, very quality type of work they were doing in those tanks. And I'm used to seeing that kind of spec on paper. But when you see it in action and how they were finishing it up, there's one tank they were doing the inspection on top. And you realize that I realized you had attracted a really good company to do the work. And I think that's the mark of you, that your expectation of carrying out the scope of work for all of the projects that we have seen you work on through the city. You bring an expectation to your contractors. It better be up to snuff. And they know that. And so it benefits the city. And I want to thank you for that high level of engineering work and consultation that you have when you're working with our contractors. It shows. And I'm really proud to say we missed that one, that the water tanks. It's going to be serving the city for years to come. We're going to make great usage of that particular project. Everything that we will have available in terms of capacity on fire systems. So I appreciate that, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
anybody else? Mike?
Oh, some of the things I could say about that. Years that we've known each other, his wife and my wife are real close, and so that gives us a little bit more of a closeness. Jerry's always been there anytime I've needed any advice or concerns that I had, and he was always very responsive. I'm going to miss you, my friend. I'm going to miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Jesse?
Thank you. I won't bring up any of that. Yeah, I want to thank you, Jeremy. I think the city of Globe owes you a great deal of thanks. So there's not a piece of this infrastructure in this city that you haven't touched or found money for. And I think we had talked earlier that the void that this city's going to fill, we don't even realize yet. So I want to thank you for everything that you've done and the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it. So thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. I just have a few things. Jerry and I, excuse me, go back 8, 10 years at least. And when I first got elected, I remember right away, I was like, I got to get speed bumps. People are telling me, you got to get. So Jerry and I rode around in the truck all over the city and saying, he explained to me, I didn't think it was a big deal. It was a car yard and done with it. Oh, no. There's tests to do, studies and all this stuff. Like, really? This is good. It's just like the first story that we had together. So,
I still got that request, by the way.
but it's been a very pleasurable time working with you over the last 8 years. And thank you again for everything that you've done. You're going to be greatly missed, my friend. Appreciate it. Keep in touch. Good old Hoosier. That's where I'm from. Thank you. Anything else, Paul?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'll tell you, it's one of the toughest jobs I've had here as city manager is trying to fill those shoes. And
Right.
it's going to take a couple people. We got a strategy, we got a plan, and we're going to do our best to. What we just won't have is the pizzazz at council meeting.
Right.
And then the question slides. Although Jessica may be able to keep that tradition going.
All right, so we'll go to item B. We have a presentation to update council on Bridge 8603 Upper Canal Creek, better known as County's Bridge, by Meridian Engineering Company. Jerry.
Great.
Greg. Okay.
I'm just gonna
And Jeff is
Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of council. I just want to introduce Dave Moore. He's with Meridian Engineering. He's the project manager. He and I are cohorts and partners in this, and we're going to turn it over to him to give a presentation and answer any questions you might have. Again, thank you for attending the groundbreaking. I think Van to thank staff for the great job they did of hosting and putting it on. So thank you, and I'll turn it over to
Thanks, Richard. Respected Mayor and Council and everyone present up here. And from well, Jerry, I don't want to continue my speech before I acknowledge your effort for this project, and we really appreciate this project being awarded to us, and you have a huge credit for that. So congratulations and thank you so much for the opportunity. To speak about Meridian a little bit, we are a small construction business company based out in Tucson. We do have projects in southwest part of the United States. We cover projects in Texas, Utah, New Mexico, and right now we are moving into Colorado as well. We have been working in this Globe, Miami area for a while. It's been a while that we have had any project in this area, but we do have a strong past with Freeport, McMoran, and other mines in the locality area. So we are super excited to be back in City of Globe and knock this project down. So just to give a brief overview of the project, I'm just gonna go through the key aspects of the project. Our project performance start was on 12th of December. And then we did our pre-construction meeting on 16th of December, groundbreaking on 10th of January. Our most critical item to begin with on this project would be the water line relocation. And we are trying to get that one knocked out by mid-February. Once that one is done, then we'll have the drill shaft company come in and get started on the Upper Pinal Creek Bridge. And then we'll continue working on it with piers and get the deck pour. By first week of June, we should be done with the deck pour on the bridge, and then we'll have the paving company come in and pave out the extensions of the road to the bridge location. Talking about the Hill Street corridor area, currently we are trying to get the removals done in that area, and then we'll jump on all the concrete sidewalk curb work, and then we are expecting to have our paving company come in and pave the Hill Street by mid-March. We are trying to expedite it and get it done by mid-February so that we have that out of the way and we can focus on just the bridge. But that's still tentative. So that's our overall timeline for the project. Currently, for the substantial completion, we are looking at mid-September and mid-November for the entire project completion. And our procedure for the execution of the project, we do follow U.S. Army Corps of Engineers 3-phase quality control and safety system. So which gives us enough time to do preparatory initial and follow-up checks on all of our performed work, we break down the entire project scope in small definable features of work so that it's easy for us to track it and also it's easy for Luis and Richard to come and inspect the ongoing performed work. So we are super excited. We thank everyone for this opportunity. And I promise you, Jerry, we'll do a good job on this.
So on the water, is that gonna be built into the structure of the bridge itself, or is it gonna go under the creek, or how do you do the water?
So
So water line construction is actually a little bit away from the bridge, so it's not going on the top of the bridge. So only utility I think is going through the deck is electrical line. But the water line goes below. We do have to relocate few existing water lines now before we go ahead and get the current water line in, but it's still out of the bridge and it's going inside the bridge.
Underneath the tree box.
Any other questions?
Right. Yeah, I did have a question, and this just comes to mind because of the times that we're in generally, with our swimming pool project, we had so many delays because of material delays.
Yes.
Are you foreseeing or accounting for any of those kinds of delays in your project?
To answer your question, I was anticipating delay on the water line material, but we did, Richard and Luis, they worked with us real good on that, and we got all of our submittals approved, and we have already procured most of the material. So we don't anticipate any kind of delays because of material at this moment, but something might come across just for the concrete because it is anticipated to have concrete and fly ash shortage starting from April this year. But we have planned prior and we have also spoken to our suppliers and we have promised to keep proper concrete supply for this project. So if we have all the main work done like drill shafts, abutments and piers before the shortage of concrete, I think we should be good. So that's why we are trying to get the sidewalk works done on Hill Street right now and also simultaneously work on the bridge work so that we minimize our impact and minimize the risk of our project getting delayed just because of one component. That's it now? Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, I just wanted to share with council that staff has been very impressed with Meridian's professionalism, their preparation. They're coming up here, both guns blazing to get this done, and they're going to come in here and knock it out. And we're real excited with what we've seen so far, and so looking forward to a solid project.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Okay, next on the agenda is the consent calendar. Matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be enacted by one motion and one vote. Public hearing items are designated prior to consideration of the consent agenda. The mayor will ask whether any members of the public wishes to remove the public hearing item for separate consideration. Members of the council and or staff may remove any item for separate consideration. Item A, consideration to waiver section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule to allow action on the balance of the consent agenda. Accounts payable $1,024,369.02. Of approval of council minutes. December 13th, 2022 meeting minutes. In consideration of agreements and purchases less than $25,000. Are there any members of the public, members of staff, or council that would like to remove any items for separate consideration?
Nope.
Mr. Mayor, if you have other comments or questions, I motion that we accept the consent agenda as read.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion. Those four. Okay, on to the next is new business. Item A. Discussion to approve contract number PS 2023-0042 with Sunny Path LLC for the amount not to exceed $55,000 for procurement consulting services for a period of 1 year with an option to extend the contract for 2 additional 1-year periods to be funded from account number 10-55-51234, Administration Contractual Services, and request to waive section 2-4-28 prior discussion rule. Eric Foreman and Paul.
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, Eric's going to begin the presentation. Eric, as you know, is our new administrative services manager.
Okay.
So Eric, go ahead.
Eric.
Members of council. We originally entered into this contract with Sunny Pass in 2021. The services they have been providing the city have proven to be invaluable, helping to streamline our budgeting, finance, and project workflows. With our expanded need to comply with a higher level of grants and funding, the provided services enable the city to properly account for these processes. This is a renewal of existing services and the terms are for a new year with 2 additional optional 1-year terms. This item was included in the fiscal 2023 budget. I also wanted to mention that we will need to rely on these high-level services as we continue to develop my position to take over these responsibilities as council has anticipated. If you have questions, I'm Will Green, so I'm not going to this up, give you the proper.
Yes, exactly.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, Eric brings so many skills and things that he does. Having Missy just doing the great job she's doing with these heavy duty procurements allows Eric the time to do a lot of the stuff that we need him doing, and we will transition as we go. But for right now, I think we keep Missy in place for another year, let Eric get set up on all the other things that we have to do, and then we'll do a gradual transition.
Good. Any other questions?
No, there are comments on motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excuse me, any opposed, nay? Motion passes. Item B, discussion and consideration to approve the scope of work for construction inspection specialist for the Upper Canal Creek Bridge inspector project and direct the city manager to negotiate a contract amount for the amount not to exceed $47,000. Funds will come from budgeted funds in account number 21-80-52201 Upper Canal Creek County's Bridge project and request to waive section 2-4-10A.
So,
Prior discussion rule.
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, just wanted to we changed this up on Monday, and Jerry will detail, but the person that originally we were bringing a contract forward, there was this change, and Jerry can explain that. But we do need a bridge inspector, and so we're not sure exactly how this will play out, but we have this all lined up, and so what we're asking for is to leave it with a scope and an amount of money that if we find someone additional or even the same person does want to pick this up at another point, we have this all in place, and so we don't have to put it back on the agenda and everything like that. The most important piece of the puzzle, though, is the 47,000 is a subset of the original 5.4 million that we approved. So it's not new money, it's not fund balance, it's some money within that line item. Jerry?
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, this item, we had a retired ADOT bridge person that we had in line to fill this position. And over the weekend he had some personal issues that wouldn't allow him to take the position. So he resigned on Monday. So we had him lined up, and he's somebody that Rick and Luis and I all worked with. But I suspect that he found out he was working for Rick and resigned. No, he had some personal issues, and he was very, very gracious about it. And he came in and talked to the three of us. So we we'll miss him, but we'll find somebody else. And like Paul said, we're gonna need the budget to hire somebody because we put this in play a long time ago. Now we need to do it quickly. As you heard, Meridian, they're ready to start. So I'd like to, do we want to table this or do we want to approve the funding?
No, the request is to approve the funding and waive the rules so we can get this in place, just so we can get this taken care of and be ready in case, in this environment, once you have somebody that says yes, you got to sign on the bottom line and get everybody on board. Because there's so much interaction, so things are moving so quickly. So this would help us be ready if we do find the opportunity, somebody else can help us out.
Question.
Comments? Mike?
So if it's, if it's a quick fix, that's probably gonna be the best thing. But in the interim time before we do get an inspector, will we have somebody in the staff doing that inspecting?
We have the geriatric squad, which is me, Rick, and Louise. And we've all built enough bridges where we should be able to handle this.
Okay.
Yeah. But as the temperatures rise, it might.
So it's almost.
Yeah, no, it will be inspected. That has to happen.
Just for the sake of being transparent here, we don't have anybody in place, but we want to secure funds. We have an interim group that's going to be inspecting. Contractually, are we going to have to come back and contract with whoever is chosen?
Well,
How's that?
so what we would do is we have a contract here with no name, with a scope of work, a price and amount, and some requirements. And so what we would do is we found somebody that we could negotiate would like to take on this challenge. We would get with that person, make sure that they can fulfill all those aspects. We would run it through Bill Sims, our city attorney, again, make sure that as it should be. And then if you vote for this, you would be authorizing me to do the final signature on that rather than bring it back to council with approval by council. I'm sorry, approval by once I have approval by the city attorney.
So we're basically approving
a placeholder, yes. But if it turns out that, let's say we have to go to a consulting firm to do that, we would have to come back. We would probably take this money and reallocate it or something like that. But right now, our hope is to find someone else who can take on this single consultant. It's a full-time temporary consulting position as a bridge inspector.
And the interim, I'm sorry, I don't want to build on to you, but I just want clarity. The interim inspectors would be paid through.
No, they'd be normal, well, staff and or contractual, but at a higher rate. We have, like I say, we would like to have a specialized person just for this at this rate, so that we don't have higher qualified or higher paid people doing this work, because it's a lot of, Jerry, it's out there, keep an eye on everything.
So this position would have direct oversight on an 8-hour day, all day long. And we don't want to put one of our consultants out there at a higher rate to do that. If we had to hire outside to bring in an inspection firm, it would be even more than our consultants make. So that's what we're looking for, somebody with experience that is looking for a temporary type job. That's the problem. We could probably hire somebody full-time, but then we don't really have the position for them. So in the meantime, that Rick and Luis and I will cover things until we can find somebody. I think that the real focus here is to get the funding in place, so Paul has the ability to pull the trigger, because most of these people are taking more than one offer. So,
and Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilman Rios, we could easily do a ratification. And if council would like, if we do find someone to pull this in, we go ahead, we pull the trigger, and then come back and let you know and ratify the final. Nothing wrong with that. Just to make that, or we can wait and table it and wait till we have somebody lined up. But we're trying to just get this position filled as expeditiously as we can.
and even though the funding is tight on this, as I told you the last time I was up here, we've had some value engineering that put some money in the crop for contingency that we'll be using out
this salary. Good. So this particular fund would be untouched, so we find.
Yes.
Yep.
But yes and no, we'll be taking consultant fees out of it until we can find somebody. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I just.
So the same consultants will be on that bridge, it's just that they'll have more.
Now, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, Councilman Rios, if we're using salaried people or city staff, we wouldn't be pulling salary out of that. But if we're doing consultants, a higher paid consultant, it would likely come out of this bucket.
Even though we have contracts with some of those, other contracts with those, with not to exceed numbers. Let's say.
Yeah.
Rick's Engineering, I know we have a contract with them.
Yeah. No,
They're designed for,
It-
in order to do this type of work, we would have to have another contract. Because it's a higher paid job.
So I think I know where you're going, but so Mr. Vice Mayor, Councilor, if we bring someone that isn't already on staff on to do this, we will have to come back to council. Okay, if we go to a third party that we're not currently engaged in right now, if we can't do this internally with the staff and consultants we have, we would have to bring this back. Because that would be initiating, if it was, a company, like Rick Engineering or Wildan or somebody like that who could provide those services, but it would be a different structure. This is designed for a one-up local person that's going to come in and be a consultant, not an employee.
If that's the case, why aren't we just moving this money into consultant? And budget for consultants?
Because the consultants make close to twice what this salary.
Okay, so you just want this just by itself with this scope of work.
And if we hire a firm to come in and do it, we're probably talking about $10,000 a week.
A week?
All right, let's move this.
Basically,
No, it's just, my point is, because, here we're voting on something that, as a placeholder, $47,000, just to hold it somewhere.
Right.
I think it was for the sake of transparency to all our stakeholders in this, I think it's just fair that we explain how this process is gonna work. We're holding money, but we don't have it.
but we do have staff
To-
doing those duties,
Yeah.
so the job can continue on.
Right.
Granted, it's gonna be split between three of our employees, who are probably 95% qualified to do what they're going to do. They just don't have the same.
I'd say more like 120.
Yeah.
I think we're overqualified.
and paid 200% more.
It's actually a temporary job because
Yeah,
it goes away as soon as it really.
we're gonna, as soon as you approve the funding, we are gonna be out looking again and hopefully we'll find somebody next week, the week after.
Sure.
And it really gives us the ability to negotiate on the fall and bring the contract back to ratify with you guys after we sign it with whoever. But give him the ability to negotiate.
Vice Mayor, I would move to approve the funding up to $47,000 for the negotiated contract with the bridge inspector and to waive the prior discussion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any, opposed, sorry. Say nay. Motion passes.
Oh, Mike, the state now wants you to ask if anybody's abstaining because they keep track of that too.
Oh, any abstain, okay, thank you. Any abstain?
Not that one for the best.
Okay, item C, discussion and consideration to issue an invitation for bid IFC number CS-2023-0029 for the WWTP oxidation ditch cleanup. with funds to come from account number 51-80-52200 wastewater capital. There, in your workout.
You're getting your money's worth. So, yeah, I'm surprised you didn't have me go to more meetings tomorrow. But, now this item is strictly a maintenance. We put in a new, system out of the wastewater plant. Correct me if I'm wrong, any of this, Vince, but, it's our, 2-year cycle to drain the oxidation ditch, to clean everything up, to make sure everything's up to snuff. And it's about $150,000. It's what we need to keep that multi-million-dollar going out there and keep our warranty valid. Anything else? Okay.
And this is, for invitation to bid.
Yep.
Let's have a motion to approve the issuance of invitation to bid number CS 2023-0029, the WWTP oxidation ditch cleanout, to funds to come from account number 51-80-52200 wastewater capital outlay check.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? You're right.
I'm scaring me.
We need a public hearing.
Need a bigger hammer? Every time you do that, already come out the chair.
Okay. Item B, discussion and consideration to approve resolution number 1869, accepting utility easement with Arizona Public Service for the installation of public utilities necessary to support the rehabilitation of the City of Globe Community Center, and request to waive section 2.4 is made. John right here.
No, do you want to?
Oh, yeah. Shelley, can you read the resolution?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Mayor. Resolution number 1869, a resolution of the mayor and council of the City of Globe, County of Gila, State of Arizona, providing for acceptance of certain property for utility easement purposes and authorizing the mayor to execute documents to complete said acceptance. Is council pleased with that reading?
Yes.
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, this is simply housekeeping. We had electric ran through the community center for the pool and for the lighting, new lighting in the community center. APS was gracious enough to go in and do this work for us without gaining these easements ahead of time. So we are doing the housekeeping now to clean that up and make sure they have the easements they require.
I don't have any questions. To me, this is a no-brainer. It's the right thing to do. It's the only thing to do to make sure that down the road there are no issues down the road beyond us, decades from now, that there are conflicting issues with utilities not having easements. That can create a big problem. So to me, it's a no-brainer. This happening. That said, I motion to approve. There's no other comments or questions. I motion to approve resolution number 1869, accepting the utility Arizona Public Service for the installation of public utilities necessary to support the rehabilitation of the City of Globe Community Center and waiving prior discussion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposing, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed.
Thanks, Mike.
Item E, discussion and consideration to approve contract number GS 2023-0038 with NeoGov for HR management services in the amount of $10,202.45, including an additional 2-year obligation to be funded out of account number 10-55-5234. Administration contractual services and request waive section 2-4-10A. Paul?
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, purchasing this program would bring us up to the best practices technology of having a paperless application process. Right now, we pass out paper applications, we collect them, and we track them physically in the files. 75% of the other municipalities in the state use this type of program, if not this program. So someone could go to our website, click that link, it would take us to the portal, and then they could look at it, review, apply. Once we take those applications on a real-time notice, anybody whose department has a job posted there will see these people coming in, and then we can, when the time is right, we always post open until filled, so we can gather. If we find good applicants, we can make that interview process. If there's nobody there, we still have the job posting open, but it would modernize it. It would make us more professional as we appear to the people who are looking for jobs. It will simplify the process internally, so there's better communication, and be a great burden to our HR manager, who normally does a lot of this by paper, including a lot of submitting, if we do hire somebody, submitting the W-2s and different paperwork. It integrates with Cassell, our finance software, gets people in the system. So it's a package of upgrades and fixes and modernization of automation. Since it's so hard to keep staff, the staff is so busy, this would simplify that process. And I think it would make us more likely to recruit and hire in a timely fashion the high performing professionals we have. So the first year is $10,000. That includes I think $5,000 setup fee. Total cost, it's a 3-year commitment. It's about $25,000 plus the $5,000 setup. So bringing it to council, even though it's only $10,000, there's a commitment there. So we wanted your approval for that. Good questions.
This is, like you said earlier, Councilman Rios, it's a no-brainer. I think that people have been looking at this council and saying how progressive it is, wanting to see our come to Globe or move to Globe, but haven't been given the opportunity to either find a job or find a home. But I think that if they see some posting online, they're able to then click on it and see if even if they qualify or get a shot at the job. I think this is a no-brainer. It gives us a bigger pool from. So.
We Indeed is one of the major ways we get applications now, and we've been getting people. We find there are a lot of people who don't live in Globe but want to come back to Globe, and this is a online way of finding that out. And then the other thing is we need to follow up, and we may have a pool of applicants. A lot of times when we interview for one position, we'll pull other people in from the city to see if somebody that didn't make it for the first position might be a good person. And so we can go back and say, hey, you didn't qualify for that, but we'd like to consider you for this. So it fits what we're doing. My last comment is I wish we'd done this 3 years earlier.
All right.
Let's
Go ahead, Larry.
Advocating for people who are not computer literate, will there still be a way for those to make a hard copy application?
We would encourage those people to go to the library and work with the librarian, sit through. The library has been good for helping everybody. Walt can tell you that. And I would think that even if we had to, we could do work. We could have a way of working with people, but I wouldn't want to commingle paper applications with this electronic. I think it's better to sit down and coach or have that person seek help. To use this one product. We don't have parallel systems because things are going to get lost. But we will.
So if I'm asked, I can send them to the library, tell them that there is a way to accommodate you.
Yes.
And I think that's useful to be able to remember that. Because I will get asked that. And so, yes, we do have a workaround, that's the phrase.
Right. And I will tell you, a lot of the entry level positions in public works, they're computer literate beyond our dreams. You know, they know what they're doing on that. And so, but there's always a group out there that may be a perfect fit for a position we have, and we can work with them. But on the other end, I think we get the best of both worlds. And our library has a long tradition of being very, very supportive, very helpful for any task that somebody comes in. So we would send them there.
I agree, I'll remember that, thank you.
Questions or comments?
Another comments or questions, like motion to approve it as read and late prior discussion vote.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstaining? Motion passes. Item F, discussion and consideration to approve change order number 2 for CS-2022-0001, the CDX Contracting LLC, for the Police Department Remodel Phase 2 project in the amount of $5,774.50 from budgeted funds and account number 10-57-52200, Police Capital Outlay Construction, Restoration Section 2-4-10A. Chief.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. My coach and mentor, who I'm going to greatly miss, told me the first word out of my mouth should be "thank contingency." So this is going to be the completion of the remodel with the police department. We had to make some adjustments after getting in some of the equipment and finding out some specific things. So it's some touch up to finish up, and then some minor changes down in the basement. So we're hoping to get this done as quickly as possible and get the open house for the public to come see the new police department. So that's what it's for. Any questions?
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, Dale, the basement is now a functioning.
The basement's turned into a locker room / training room. Because it's a Jack and Jill locker room, we put in a couple of different independent changing rooms down there. And we're not in the middle of shift change. We have some tables down there. We'll have a big screen, smart TV to do some training on. And so that's what it's turned into now. And then the rest of it is just some final touches in the interview room, and then to clean up a couple of things that just need to be fixed up through this final walkthrough.
Mr. Vice Mayor, no other comments or questions on the motion to approve change order number 2 for CS-2022-0001 to CDX Contracting LLC for the Police Department remodel phase 2 project in the amount of $5,774.50 from budgeted funds in account 10-57-52200 Police Capital Outlay Construction, and request to waive the prior discussion rule.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposing, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passes.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, next on the agenda is action items. Item A, consideration to accept the National Children's Alliance Grant Award awarded to the Globe Police Department Copper Hills Family Advocacy Center in the amount of $25,000. Chief.
So, Vice Mayor and Council, we have partnered over the last several years with a group, a nonprofit called Child Help. They have recently decided to pull out of the Gila County region. When they did that, they actually supplied a family advocate and a couple other things through grant funding themselves, but when they pulled, we're trying to pick up where they left off. So this grant actually provides funding with the discussions I've had with Paul, most likely a contract position for an assistant with the family advocacy group to help victims of crimes, displaced persons and stuff like that. So that's the idea behind it. We have a couple other pending grants out there for hopefully a full-time position, but until we get those awarded, that's where we're at with this particular. And just so you're aware, we did, I think, in excess of 115 forensic interviews through that advocacy center last year, not to mention all the same exams and other things that we did helping victims of crime, not only for the greater Cobra Valley area, but all of southern Gila County and some northern Gila County. So it's been very busy, it's been very beneficial, and it's the only game in town. And so we want to make sure that we're trying to supply it and support it as best we can through funding through different grant opportunities.
And is Shelley still on?
She is.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, or I'm sorry, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, and I just wanted to say that this availability came up real quick. It was a transfer. Shelley, is she director of the Advocacy Center?
Right.
Yeah, came to us, and I just want to, we pulled a kind of a rabbit out of our hat on this one, and Carrie Cottrell, our finance manager, put aside a lot of other stuff that needed to happen to make sure that it was a complicated process. It was before our grant manager was here. And so we kind of, by the seat of the pants, put it together, and I'm happy that we got it pulled off.
Council, we ended up having to pull, I think, 3 or 4 separate grants. One we knew we were going to do, the other 3 were kind of thrust upon us within about a 2.5, 3 week period. And so, to Paul's point, the finance department was extremely helpful, and so was Paul, in trying to jump through some hoops to get this done because we were under a time crunch. We weren't expecting to do this year, but we took a stab at it because we didn't want to lose resources from the greater Gila County area. And so that's what they did. Kudos to Shelley and the finance department and Lieutenant Williams. They did a phenomenal job. So far, we're 2 of 3. I think we're still waiting on the 4th one. We got it.
Okay. Vice Mayor, I'd be honored to make a motion to accept the $25,000 grant from the Children Alliance.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Any abstaining? Motion passes.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just one comment, Chief. Often when grants are put together and a project is put together, you end up not seeing the ramifications down the road, who you are affecting and who's benefiting. Please continue to track the agencies, and you mentioned other parts of the county benefiting from this particular project. I think it is a wonderful idea. Number one, that you started this. And number two, that other agencies across the county are benefiting. That is a kudo, a feather in your cap, if you will, and for the city. Please continue to track those numbers. Someday we'll be battling for grants like this again. I want to be able to say down the road, well, we've done this in the entire region. And that's very important to me because honestly, I'm sure you didn't think you'd see that coming when you were in the state. I just wanted to do something for this area. So continue with those stats. I really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you, Councilman. Just so council's aware, I don't know that there's a law enforcement entity within the county to include the state agencies and the federal government that we have not supported and helped in one way or another. DIA, FBI, White River, San Carlos, Mason PD, Glow PD, Miami, Gila County Sheriff's Department, and we will continue to do that because the number one goal of this is trying to provide support for the victims of crime. And to try to minimize the possibility of victimizing a second time is the way we conduct our business. So thank you for the support.
Thank you, Chief. Item B, consideration to accept the Arizona Attorney General Office non-matching grant award in the amount of $19,140 awarded to the City of Globe Police Department Child and Family Advocacy Center.
Chief, Vice Mayor and Council, this is the second grant that was awarded. This is the second year in a row that we received this grant from the Attorney General's office. The state has been extremely helpful and in our partnership with both the Governor's Office of Highway Safety and the Attorney General's office. have helped us tremendously since I've been up here. This particular grant is an excellent grant for us because it allows us, there's no matching funds for it, and it allows us to do what we need to do with it. So like last year, this grant is what paid for a vehicle for Shelley to be able to do the things that she does. This year, it's going towards operational costs for some of the things that she has to do. So it's a hugely beneficial grant to us. Thanks to the Attorney General's office. This means a tremendous amount for not only the operation of the center. This year, we're also going to get some things for the kids that are coming in for the waiting room and stuff. So it's a big plus for us.
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the non-matching grant award from Arizona Attorney General's Office in the amount of $19,140.89 awarded to the Child and Family Advocacy Center.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposing, say nay. Any abstaining? Motion passes. Thank you, Chief. You're on board.
Would council like me to wait on this next one?
Was there more?
Just, I see.
No,
No, we're good.
no, we're good. But don't leave the building. But
Thank you, council. Thank you.
but I think we'll be okay.
No. So item C is consideration to approve ordinance number 884, which will amend Article 3-2, Sections 3-2-11 and 3-2-12 of the Globe City Code. Paul, Shelley, can you read ordinance number 884?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Ordinance number 884, an ordinance of the City of Globe, County of Gila, State of Arizona, amending the Globe City Code, Article 3-2, modifying Section 3-1-1, Section 3-2-11, Chief of Police, and Section 3-2-12, Fire Chief, repealing any and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith. Is council pleased with that reading?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, just to catch everybody up, while our code currently, as it sits, as the police chief and fire chief as reporting directly to, or being hired and fired by the council with no merit protections. We talked about this at a couple meetings, and we're bringing forward this time when we don't see any changes going on to make this, to bring this into more in line with what we are currently doing right now, which is pretty much the police chief and fire chief being supervised by the city manager, and then the protections that we hope to give them. As of the last meeting, council was supportive of the police chief and fire chief reporting to this and being supervised by the city manager, having those merit protections just as any other employee would. But also they wanted to have a position or a role in the selection of the police chief and fire chief. We had talked about language, and so the ordinance that's actually in your packet is the changes, includes a little bit of a change that Bill Sims put in there. And just an apology to Councilman Pastor, he did put the public notice in the public meeting, but let me read to you the final draft for the police chief, and this will be mirrored by the fire chief, and explain to you what we're doing. So how this would, the current position is section 3-2-11, chief of police. The chief of police shall be appointed by the city council. That is no change from what we have right now. Okay. Now we had mentioned that we wanted a public process, and I had a slight reference to a public process. Bill Sims added at a public meeting of the council where the public can provide input. It's somewhat redundant, but I think we want to be clear there. And then we have from a pool of qualified candidates provided by the city manager or his or her designee. Read that to be, we had already talked about if we were going to do a search firm, it would be the administration hiring a search firm to go through and search out, headhunt for qualified candidates, do the background checks and the screening and kind of get the right fit, and then bring forward qualified candidates for council to choose from. If it was more of a slam dunk, then we may not use a search firm. But in this way, we're not locking ourselves one way or the other, but gives that flexibility of getting the best qualified group pool of candidates. It then continues on with a city manager's recommendation. So you can hear in whatever form is most easily handled at the time. City managers, basically my preference. Okay, just based on what I know about the department, what I know about the needs of the department, that you have your desires and what you want to see happen there, but there may be things that I have more knowledge about, and it gives me a chance to share that with you in however we decide. Other than that, the changes continue. Once approved, the chief of police shall be a direct report to the city manager. Now, being a direct report, I put that in there just so there's no qualms. I think that's the only other change that is a little bit different, and should be the chief of police shall be subject to a direct report to the city manager and subject to all city personnel rules and regulations, including grievance procedures and right of appeal. We put the words grievance procedures and right of appeal because in our current policies and procedures, it does say that people who serve at will do not have those preferences. So I wanted to be totally clear. It's a little bit wordy than we normally like, but I think it's important that we capture the intent of council. And so this is the language, and it mirrors exactly the same for the fire chief. So that's where we're at tonight.
So the only thing is the language does not actually indicate that we are allowed to be in the interview process. Because I think that's kind of what we wanted to be. Once we identify qualified candidates,
Yeah.
I think we wanted to be in the interview.
Well,
And this isn't really clear on that. It just says that we will appoint them. It doesn't say that we are in that
well, and
process.
if council is not going to appoint anybody until they have an interview process, then you tell your city manager, this is the process. I mean, when we bring this to when the council, when we want to put this on the agenda, and I need to work with you on how you want to see this done. And if council wants to say, we want to have an interview process, we can do as we've done before, where we have an e-session interview process. It doesn't limit that, but it doesn't lock it in. It's when it's your council meeting and your agenda item, and you can ask that it be structured to what you believe.
I just was gonna say, it said that they can only be appointed by the council.
Right.
Yeah.
It's reviews no points in
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to, I'd be happy that you go in and do an interview. You're having to help pick these people that I'm going to command.
That's part of that is where it's an open meeting with public input.
Yeah.
So that's kind of.
Yeah. Now that and well, but that's
No,
and if you want to kill if it's redundant if you say it's at a council meeting is by its nature an open meeting with public input. We could strike at a public meeting where the public can provide input. We could strike that and go, I had the fire chief pulled up. Fire chief shall be appointed by the city council from a pool of qualified candidates provided by the city manager or his or her designee. If you want to pull out the redundancy of stating it's a public process, or we leave it like, but, and so now you could do public interviews, you could do a town hall where you invite members of the public. And I think that's what I've done. I think that's where council was going. We like that public special meeting that we had, but in no way would I ask you to approve 3 candidates to ask them questions. Yeah. It's a lot like a city manager hiring.
So the public is gonna the council will take the candidates to an executive session and do an interview.
The council has that. Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
is that what you're talking about, Fernando?
Yeah, well, I think what I got from our discussion last time is that all of us we did not want to be cut out of the selection process.
Yeah.
We didn't just want to get, this is the guy that we want.
Yeah.
Pick, say yes. And so, but when I read the language and I think like a lawyer, I'm saying, it doesn't really say that, but you're correct that we wouldn't, it's completely up to us to approve it. So if we're not satisfied with the process, we can just refuse to approve it. Yeah, so I think that solves the issue.
Mr. Vice Mayor, as a courtesy, before we vote, I'd like to hear from the incumbents. Gentlemen, do you have any comments on the way we're headed?
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. I like the idea that the city manager would put in hiring a firm to go out and find your candidates because they do things that at this level there's certain things you should be looking for and they know what to look for. And the nice thing about most of the firms will come in and meet with all of you ahead of time to find out kind of what you're looking for. Maybe you had a problem with me and then you want something a little bit different or whatever. It gives you an opportunity. And then they do a pretty good background check on the candidates coming in so you're not shocked when you get something and all of a sudden something comes out of the closet type of thing. So I think it's excellent. And the fact that the language in it gives you the opportunity to do just what you did the last time and have e-session interviews, at least with me, I can't speak for Gary, but I think that was hugely beneficial because at the end of the day, I'm your chief and you guys most of you are new, but the ones that brought me here, I mean, they kind of put their stamp on me. So if I do something wrong, they kind of own it. So you need to make sure that you get what you're looking for specifically. So I think it's a cleaner process than what was before. And I think Paul did a great job of identifying and learning from the previous process and putting it together where everybody is included, but at the same time, you get a higher level of candidates. So, and that's what you really do. So I think it's excellent. So thank
you. Mr. Vice Mayor, I'm in agreement with Dale. I think you've arrived at a solution that gives you accountability as a council back to the public for who you bring in terms of your higher level management, public safety agencies. But at the same time, we clean up that chain of command and who we report to, and merit protections in place that allow us to seek redress in the event that there is something that does occur. I think these are good changes that will be effective going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
We're in 84.
So go ahead, Rick. Thank you.
If I could, Councilman, just a comment. First of all, this is more of an apology on my part. I apologize to my colleagues here on the dais and mayor for not making the meeting where this debate took place. I did watch it on YouTube feed, so I'm well aware of conversations that you all had, and I appreciate all your comments. My position, I just want it to be known that I felt strongly that the highest levels of these two departments should have some merit-based backing. And so that in the event that you had just a quorum of council members that made a decision based on heat of passion and not merit-based, that would be the absolutely wrong way to go and would not benefit the city. I appreciate that you agreed with that. I also appreciate that as council members, you did want to say in this high level positions, probably the highest level positions that the city could hold. Not the highest, but up there in that I'm not gonna number them. I also feel that it's important that whatever council is on board at that time really needs to be involved, because we do have constituents that we need to represent. And I think what our city manager has come up with is a great solution that would satisfy both. So I appreciate it, and I just want to say it was a total mess up on my part of my scheduling, why I wasn't here. And I take the blame on that, so I want to apologize to all of you for that. I wasn't dodging this. But I appreciate your comments. So I just want to make that scene.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposing, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passes.
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, thank you. I think this is a good step forward in making sure that we have a modern progressive system and correct some oversights. So thank you for indulging us and bringing this forward. It's like I say, it's something that is not going to be impactful now, but in the future, I think we'll be happy that we did this.
Okay, next on the agenda is the late agenda items.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nope.
Second call to the public.
No, sir.
No card.
No cards.
Mr. President, you skipped, next meeting or discussions or something?
No, that's.
Well, for future, I do that, I did have.
Did you?
No, he's not there yet.
Oh,
He's on here.
oh, okay, schedule a meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Sorry about
Scheduling of meetings. Anything, Paul?
Nothing.
Other than that, we need a reminder, the SAP.
Yeah, on February 2nd, from 2 to 6, council will be meeting in a council strategic action plan at the Active Adult Center.
At the actual.
Yeah, Active Adult Center.
And then, item 11, consideration of future agenda.
With that,
As most of you know, I live over by China.
Yes.
There's been a construction project going on over there for the last 2.5 months with the electric vehicle charging stations.
Oh, yeah.
And I think today, they opened it up, but I don't know, so I was wondering if we could get an update from maybe Linda's staff or somebody to find out if that's
okay.
available now. They've taken all the plastic off, they've got all the barriers moved.
Okay.
Looks like it's open, so.
Would you like to see that as a presentation or just a
Yeah,
communication?
we'll get, Solacey here
Yeah.
Do they have in the parking lot?
to, it takes a lot of room, it took up a lot of space.
Really?
That's how there.
I know there was some concern in the public about it being where it is.
That's
But
all.
actually, that's probably the best place to put
And-
it at
and
this point in time.
And if it's okay with so, no, that was a private agreement. Right, it was private property versus private property. But I think the larger issue is with the advent and the, all of the incentives to transition people to electric vehicles. We kind of a plan.
If I could tag along
Yeah.
with one of your things, I think there was a master plan. We had one at one point, putting these EV charging stations at the library, and then they moved to down here. We could get that kind of
Yeah.
implementation.
I think absolutely. I think we should do that. And just for clarity, the problem with the EV charging at the library was the flooding in the parking lot,
Exactly.
charging a car in a puddle.
Just so we can figure out.
Because if we're gonna do it,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
And what
a lot of room.
can we do to incentivize it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We can do that. Okay. Lisa, you got that? Okay. Good. Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion made. Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Meeting adjourned.
7:55.